You weren't born to blend in. You weren't created to wake up, scroll through someone else's life, drag yourself through a day you don't care about, and fall asleep with the quiet regret that you're capable of more, but you didn't prove it. That feeling in your chest right now, that tension, that discomfort, that restless energy, that's not anxiety. That's potential, suffocating, because deep down, you know the truth most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Average is a choice. It's not something you're born into. It's something you accept. It's something you tolerate. It's something you slowly become, one excuse at a time. Average is waking up without purpose. Average is doing just enough to survive. Average is watching others build empires while you build reasons why you can. And the dangerous part, average feels safe. It whispers to you, relax, take it easy, you got time. But time is the one thing you don't have. Because while you hesitated, someone else is executing. While you are doubting, someone else is deciding. While you are waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is deciding. While you are waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is becoming unstoppable. And here's the reality that most people can't handle. Nobody is coming to save you. No mentor is magically appearing. No opportunity is knocking on your door just because you exist. You either rise or you remain. You either fight or you fade. You either decide to become legendary or you disappear into the background of a world that rewards only those who dare to stand out. Because legends aren't born, they're built. They're built, they're forged in the moments when quitting feels easier. They're shaped in the darkness. When no one is watching, they're created in the silence where discipline speaks louder than motivation ever could. And right now, this moment, this exact second, is where your story either changes or stays the same. Because greatness doesn't wait for permission. It demands commitment. It demands sacrifice. It demands that you look at your current life, not with comfort, but with brutal honesty. Are you living or are you existing? Are you chasing your purpose or are you running from your potential? Because if you're honest with yourself, you already know the answer. And that's where it starts, not with a plan, not with a strategy, but with a decision. A decision that you're done being average. A decision that you refuse to settle for less than what you're capable of. A decision that no matter how hard it gets, no matter how long it takes, no matter how long it takes, no matter how many times you fall, you will rise again and again and again until the world had no choice but to recognize what you've become. Because the moment you shift your mindset, everything changes, not your circumstances, not your environment, you. And that's the only thing that ever needed to change. Because average people wait for motivation, but legendary people build discipline. Average people need to feel good before they act. Legendary people act and then they become unstoppable. Average people say, I'll try. Legendary people say, I will. No backup plan, no safety net, no retreat, just forward, always forward. Because the truth is, belief isn't something you find. It's something you create. And it's created in the moments when everything inside you is telling you to stop. Well, you keep going anyway. That's where belief is born, not in comfort, not in ease, but in resistance, in struggle, in the moments where your mind said, this is too much, and your soul said, keep going, because clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from action. You don't find your purpose sitting still. You discover it by moving, by trying, by failing, by learning, by evolving over and over again. Because purpose isn't a destination, it's a direction. And the moment you start walking toward it, everything begins to align. Your energy changes, your focus sharpens, your excuses disappear. Because now you have something bigger than fear driving you. You have vision, and vision is powerful. It's what allowed a man to imagine light in a world consumed by darkness. It's what pushed dreamers to build empires when everyone else saw impossibility. It's what separates those who wish from those who win. Because when your vision is clear, your path becomes unstoppable. You stop negotiating with your comfort zone. You stop negotiating with your comfort zone. You stop listening to people who don't understand your mission. You stop doubting yourself every time things get hard, because now you see it, not just with your eyes, but with your mind. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, every distraction feels like a threat. Every wasted moment feels like a loss. Every excuse feels like a betrayal, because you know what's at stake: your future, your legacy, your life. And that's when discipline takes over. not motivation, not hype. Discipline, the quiet, relentless force that pushes you forward when everything else fades. Because motivation is temporary, but discipline is permanent. It's waking up early when your body begs for sleep. It's working when no one is watching. It's choosing growth over comfort again and again and again. It's doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Because that's what separates the average from the legendary. Consistency, not talent, not luck, not connections. Consistency, the ability to show up every single day with the same hunger, the same focus, the same intensity, regardless of how you feel. Because feelings don't build empires, actions do. And every action you take is a vote for the person you are becoming. So the question is, who are you voting for? The version of you that hesitates, the version of you that doubts, the version of you that stays stuck in the same cycle day after day, or the version of you that rises, that fights, that refuses to accept anything less than greatness, because every day you decide, not with your words, but with your actions. And the world doesn't reward what you say, it rewards what you do. So if you want to be legendary, you have to live differently. Think differently, move differently. You have to become obsessed with growth, obsessed with progress, obsessed with becoming better than you were yesterday. Because average people chase comfort, but legends chase evolution. And evolution requires sacrifice, time, energy, relationships, comfort. You will lose things. You will outgrow people. You will walk paths that feel lonely, but understand this loneliness is the price of greatness. Because not everyone is willing to go where you're going. Not everyone has the courage to become who you're becoming. And that's okay, because this journey, this transformation, this ride was never meant for everyone. It was meant for you and only you. So embrace it. Embrace the struggle. Embrace the uncertainty. Embrace the moments where everything feels like it's falling apart. Because that's not the end, that's the beginning. Because resilience is built in those moments, not when things are easy, but when everything is hard, when you fail, when you've been rejected, when you've been doubted, when you've been counted out. That's when you find out who you really are. Not when you win, but when you refuse to quit, because quitting is easy, quitting is average, but pushing forward, that's legendary. And legends don't break, not depression, they transform. They adapt, they learn, they grow, because every setback is a setup. Every failure is feedback. Every obstacle is an opportunity to become stronger, smarter, sharper. And the more you go through, the more unstoppable you become, because now nothing can shake you, not fear, not doubt, not failure, because you're faced in all, and you're still standing, still fighting, still moving forward. And that's what makes you different. That's what makes you dangerous. Because now you don't just believe in yourself, you trust yourself. And trust is everything. Because when you trust yourself, you stop hesitating. You stop overthinking. You stop waiting for permission. You act decisively, confidently, relentlessly, because you know no matter what happens, you will figure it out. You will adapt. You will rise. And that's the mindset of a legend, not perfection, but persistence, not certainty, but courage, not comfort, but commitment. So if you're still waiting for a sign, this is it, right here, right now, this moment, this feeling, this fire inside you. That's your signal to stop playing small, to stop holding back, to stop living a life that's beneath your potential. Because you were never meant to be average. You were meant to be legendary. And the only thing standing between you and that reality is the decision to become it. Because the moment you truly decide, everything begins to shift. Not outside, inside. And once that shift happens, what if I fail? And you start asking, what if I fail? And you start asking, what happens if I don't even try? That question alone has built empires. Because fear loses its power the moment your purpose becomes bigger than your excuses. And that's where most people break. Not because they're weak, but because they never train their mind to withstand pressure. They let doubt sit too long. They let fear speak too loudly. They let comfort take control. But you're not here for comfort. You're here for transformation. And transformation is not gentle. It's not soft. It doesn't ask for permission. It demands that you let go of who you were to become who you're meant to be. In that process, it will test you mentally, emotionally. Physically, there will be days when you feel unstoppable, and there will be days when you question everything. But understand this, consistency is not about feeling strong every day. It's about showing up, even on the days you feel weak, especially on those days, because that's when it matters most. That's when your character is revealed. That's when your discipline is tested. That's when your future is decided. Because anyone can move forward when things are easy, but only a few keep going when things get hard. And those few, they become legends because they understand something the average person doesn't. They understand that pain is part of the process. That struggle is part of the journey. That discomfort is not something to avoid. It's something to embrace, because inside that discomfort is growth, is strength. Inside that struggle is strength. Inside that pain is power. But only if you choose to see it that way, because perception is everything. You can look at an obstacle and see a reason to quit, or you can look at the same obstacle and see a chance to rise. The situation doesn't change, you do. And that's the difference, because legendary people don't wait for perfect condition. They create them. They don't wait for opportunities. They build them. They don't wait for life to get easier. They become stronger. And strength is built through repetition, through effort, through doing the hard things over and over again until they become part of who you are. Because at some point, it stopped being about motivation. It stopped being about goals. It becomes about identity. You don't just want success. You become the type of person who attracts it. You don't just chase greatness. You embody it. And once that shift happens, everything changes. Because now, you're not forcing yourself to work. You need to work. You're not pushing yourself to grow. You crave growth. You're not fighting discipline. You are disciplined. And that's where things start to accelerate. Because when your identity aligns with your actions, there's no resistance, only progress. Relentless, unstoppable progress. And that's where focus becomes your greatest weapon. Because in a world full of distractions, attention is power. And most people, they broke not because they lack talent, but because they lack focus. They chase everything. They commit to nothing. They start, but they don't finish. They dream, but they don't execute. And then they wonder why nothing changes. But you're different now. You understand that every yes to distraction is a no. Your destiny, every wasted hour is a piece of your future, gone forever. So you protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. You cut off the noise. You eliminate the unnecessary. You remove anything that doesn't align with your vision, not because you're extreme, but because you're serious. Serious about your goals, serious about your growth, serious about becoming who you said you would be. Because at the end of the day, but it's not about what you start, it's about what you finish. And finishing requires endurance. It requires patience. It requires the ability to keep going long after the excitement fades, because the beginning is always exciting. New goals, new energy, new motivation. But the middle, that's where most people quit, because the middle is boring. It's repetitive. It's slow. It doesn't give you instant results. And in a world addicted to instant gratification, that's where dreams die, but not yours. Because you understand something deeper. You understand that greatness is built in the unseen, in the quiet mornings, in the late nights, in the hours nobody applauds. Because that's where mastery lives. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadow, where you refine your craft, where you sharpen your skill, where you become better without needing validation. Because validation is temporary, but mastery, that lasts forever. And once you reach that level, you don't need motivation. You don't need external approval. You don't need anyone to believe in you, because you've already proven it to yourself through your actions, through your consistency, through your refusal to quit. And that self-belief, that's unbreakable, because it wasn't given to you. You earned it through struggle, through sacrifice, through showing up again and again when no one else would. And that's why not. It can't stop you now, because you have already faced the hardest battle. The battle within, the battle against doubt, the battle against fear, the battle against your own limitations. And you didn't just survive it, you conquered it. So now what's left? Nothing but execution. Pure, relentless, focused execution. Because ideas don't change lives. Action does. Dreams don't build success. Work does. And every single day you show up ready. Ready to push harder, ready to go further, ready to go further, ready to become more, because you're no longer chasing a goal. You're building a legacy, and legacy is not built overnight. It's built daily, through habits, through discipline, through decisions that most people are not willing to make. And that's why most people will never reach your level. Not because they can't, but because they won't. They won't sacrifice. They won't commit. They won't endure. But you will, because you've made the decision. And once that decision is made, there's no turning back, no second guessing, no retreat, only forward, always forward. Because now you understand this isn't just about success. It's about who you become in the process, the strength you build, the mindset you develop, the person you transform into. Because that person, that version of you that refuses to quit, that embraces the grind, that thrives under pressure, that the legend, not the outcome, not the reward, but the person you become while earning it. And once you become that person, success is inevitable, not immediate, but inevitable. Because you built the foundation, brick by brick, day by day, action by action, until one day everything changes. Not because of luck, but because of preparation meeting opportunity. Because while others were waiting, you were working. You were working. While others were talking, you were executing. While others were doubting, you were becoming. And that's when the world starts to notice. Not because you asked for attention, but because your results demand it. Because excellence cannot be ignored. And once you reach that level, there's no going back. Because average is no longer an option. Now, it's time to dominate. Not others, yourself, your limits, your past, your fears. Because the only real competition you ever had was the person you used to be. And now they don't stand a chance. Because that version of you, the one who doubted, the one who hesitated, the one who waited for the right time, that version is gone, buried under discipline, replaced by focus, transformed by fire. And now you move differently. You think differently. You carry a presence that doesn't need to speak loudly, because your actions speak for you. Because when you have suffered for your growth, when you have sacrificed for your future, when you have fought battles nobody knows about, you don't need validation. You don't need approval. You don't need permission. You become your own standard. And that's when confidence stops being something you fake. It becomes something you are. Not loud, not arrogant, but unshakable. Because you've seen what you're capable of. You've pushed past limits you once thought were permanent. You've broken patterns that once controlled your life, and now there's no ceiling, only levels. And with every level comes a new challenge, a new test, a new opportunity to prove that you are who you say you are. Because growth never ends. The moment you think you made it, that's the moment you start falling. Because legends don't settle. They evolve constantly, relentlessly. They look at success not as a destination, but as a responsibility to keep improving, to keep expanding, to keep becoming more. Because staying the same is the fastest way to become irrelevant. And you didn't come this far to go backwards. You didn't fight this hard to stay comfortable. You didn't sacrifice this much to settle. No. You came here to dominate your potential, to push beyond limits, to create a life that most people are too afraid to even imagine. And that requires something most people avoid: adaptability. Because the world will change. Situations will shift. Plans will fail. Things will not always go the way you expect. But that's not a problem. That's the process. Because those who survive are not the strongest. They are the ones who adapt, the ones who adjust, the ones who refuse to break, even when everything around them is falling apart, because they understand something powerful. Flexibility is strength. The ability to pivot without losing your purpose, the ability to adjust without losing your vision, the ability to evolve without losing your identity. That's what makes you unstoppable. Because now, no matter what happens, you don't panic, you prepare, you don't freeze, you move, you don't complain. You create solutions, because problems are not obstacles. They are opportunities to think deeper, to act smarter, to grow stronger. And the more problems you solve, the more valuable you become. Because value is what the world rewards, not effort, not intention. Value. What can you create? What can you solve? What can you improve? Because the marketplace doesn't care about your excuses. It responds to your results, and results come from execution, daily, consistent, focused execution, even when it's boring, even when it's repetitive, even when it feels like nothing is changing, because that's where patience becomes your weapon. The ability to keep going without immediate reward. The ability to trust the process without constant proof. The ability to believe even when results are invisible. Because understand this, just because you can't see progress doesn't mean it's not happening. Growth is often silent, invisible, slow, but powerful, like roots growing beneath the surface before the tree ever breaks through. And when it does, it stands strong, unshaken, because it was built the right way. And that's what you're doing. You're building something real, something lasting, something that doesn't collapse under pressure. Because you're not chasing quick success, you're building legacy. And legacy requires time. It requires patience. It requires faith. Faith in yourself, faith in your vision, faith in the work you're putting in every single day. Because one day it will pay off. Not maybe, not possibly. It will be effort compounds, discipline compounds, consistency compounds. And when it all comes together, the results are undeniable. But until that moment, you stay locked in. You stay focused. You stay hungry. Because hunger is what drives greatness. The moment you lose your hunger, you lose your edge. And without your edge, you become average again. And that is not an option. Not anymore. Because now, you know what you're capable of. You've felt the shift. You've seen the growth. You've experienced the transformation. And there's no going back to who you used to be. Because that life, that mindset, that version of you, it no longer fits. You've outgrown it. And growth is uncomfortable. It forces you to leave behind what's familiar, to step into the unknown, to take risks, to bet on yourself again and again, even when it's scary, even when it's uncertain. Because that's where greatness lives. Outside your comfort zone, beyond your fears, on the other side of do. Up there. And every time you step into that space, you expand, you evolve, you become more. And that's the journey, not perfection, progress, not certainty, courage, not ease, growth. So when things get hard and when doubt creeps in and when you feel like quitting, and you might remember this, you didn't come this far to stop now. You didn't push through all that pain to give up at this level. You didn't sacrifice everything to settle for less. No, you came here to finish, to rise, to win. And winning is not about being better than everyone else. It's about being better than who you were yesterday. Every single day, no exceptions, because that's how legends are built. Not in one moment, but in thousands of moments. From all the small decisions, daily actions, relentless consistency, until one day you wake up and you realize you're no longer chasing greatness. You're becoming. And when that day comes, when your life reflects your discipline, when your results reflect your effort, when your reality reflects your vision, you'll understand something powerful. It was never about luck. It was never about talent. It was never about timing. It was always about you, your decisions, your discipline, your mindset, your refusal to be average. Because average was never your destiny. Legendary was. And now you have proven it, not to the world, but to yourself. And that is the ultimate victory.